First contact and preparation. The Cheyenne Mountain Complex had been quiet for decades. Once the nerve center of America's Cold War defenses, it had become a relic. Until the morning when Dr. Elena Rice's monitoring equipment detected something unprecedented. "Sir, you need to see this," she called to Director Patel, her voice wavering as she stared at the screen. Director Patel leaned over her shoulder, his dark eyes narrowing at the pattern of signals pulsing across the monitor. "What am I looking at, Doctor?" "It's a signal, sir, definitely artificial. And it's coming from, well, it's not from Earth." The signal had appeared suddenly, a precise, mathematical sequence repeating every 83 seconds. Within hours, observatories around the world confirmed the finding. The source was a massive object decelerating at the edge of our solar system. 3 days later, the message came. It arrived simultaneously on every connected device on the planet. Screens flickered, and a translation algorithm, one that humanity had never created, rendered the message in all Earth's major languages. "People of Earth, we are the Ascendancy. Your planet has been marked for integration. Your resources will serve the greater collective. Resistance is not advised. Surrender will be rewarded with preservation of 10% of your population. You have 72 hours to dismantle your defensive capabilities. We will arrive to oversee the transition." The message ended with a set of coordinates for Earth's leaders to transmit their surrender. World leaders convened an emergency session of the United Nations. The usual political divides dissolved in the face of existential threat. General Zhao of China's Defense Forces addressed the assembly. "We have analyzed the signal origin. It's not just one ship. It's an armada. Based on their deceleration pattern, they'll reach Earth in approximately 15 days. UN Secretary General Okafor stood at the podium, her usual diplomatic demeanor replaced by steely resolve. "We will not surrender. Not 1 inch of our planet, not one human life." The vote was unanimous. For the first time in history, humanity stood truly united. Within hours, the Global Defense Initiative was formed. Military commands merged, scientific resources pooled, and industrial capacity redirected. The world's technology companies opened their patents. Pharmaceutical companies shared their research. Every nation contributed what they could. Dr. Rice was appointed to lead the scientific division. Her team worked around the clock, analyzing the alien transmission for any clues about their technology or weaknesses. "The signal contains more than just a message," she explained to the GDI Leadership Council. "Their translation algorithm is embedded in the transmission. It's how they made us understand them. But the algorithm itself might be our key to understanding them." In London, Professor Ed Sanya's quantum computing team discovered something remarkable in the algorithm structure. "It's like they've standardized their thought patterns," Adesanya explained over the secure video link. "The algorithm doesn't just translate language, it translates concepts, and it's built on assumptions about cognition that reveal something about their psychology." In the skies above, the first defense satellites were deployed. Weapons systems that had been theoretical were rushed into production. Old nuclear missiles were retrofitted with new guidance systems. "It won't be enough," General Zhao said bluntly during a strategy session. "If they can travel between stars, our conventional weapons will be like throwing stones at a tank." "Then we need unconventional weapons," replied Dr. Reyes. "And I think I may have found something." Her team had been working on a hypothesis that the alien translation algorithm revealed a fundamental aspect of their neural processing. If correct, it suggested a vulnerability. "Their minds work differently than ours," she explained. "They're more efficient, more logical, but less adaptable. They process information in predictable patterns. If we can disrupt those patterns." They were building a device, a neural disruptor that could potentially scramble ascendancy thought processes without affecting humans. It was theoretical, untested, and based on assumptions about an alien psychology they barely understood. But it was hope. As day 8 dawned, the first visual confirmation of the ascendancy fleet appeared in telescope feeds. Massive ships, angular and precise, arranged in perfect geometric formations. No wasted motion, no aesthetic flourishes, just ruthless efficiency. "They're slowing," reported the monitoring station in Chile, establishing orbit around Mars. On Earth, the final preparations were underway. Civilians were evacuated to underground shelters. Military personnel took their positions. In laboratories around the world, scientists worked feverishly to complete their assigned projects. Dr. Rice hadn't slept in 36 hours. The neural disruptor prototype was complete, but they had no way to test it. No way to know if it would work until they faced the enemy. "We need to get this aboard their command ship," she told the GDI Council. "If we can disrupt their leadership, it might give us a chance." "How do you propose we do that?" asked General Zhao. "We can't exactly knock on their door." Colonel Maya Rivera, commander of the newly formed Special Operations Division, stepped forward. "Actually, we can, in a manner of speaking." Her team had been studying the Ascendancy's communication protocols. They believed they could mimic the signal pattern used by the aliens' own shuttles. "We can disguise one of our ships as theirs," Rivera explained. "At least long enough to get close." The plan took shape quickly. A stealth craft would be modified to emulate Ascendancy signatures. Colonel Rivera would lead a small team to infiltrate the alien command ship and deploy the neural disruptor. "It's a suicide mission," General Zhao said flatly. "Maybe," Rivera replied, "but it's our best shot." As the final days counted down, Dr. Rice made a crucial discovery. The alien algorithm contained a hidden layer, a kind of backup system. "They've built redundancy into everything," she explained. "If one system fails, another takes over. But there's a pattern to it, a predictability." She modified the neural disruptor design, incorporating what she'd learned. The device would now target not just their primary thought patterns, but the backup systems as well. "This might not just disrupt them," she told Colonel Rivera as she handed over the device. "It might completely incapacitate them." The colonel nodded grimly. "Let's hope so." On the night before the Ascendancy was due to arrive, the world held its breath. In cities across the globe, people gathered in squares and parks, on rooftops and in basements. They lit candles, sang songs, and prayed to whatever gods they believed in. In the command center beneath Cheyenne Mountain, Dr. Rice stood before a wall of monitors showing the approaching fleet. Beside her, Director Patel watched in silence. "Do you think we have a chance?" she asked quietly. He considered for a long moment before answering. "I think the Ascendancy has made a grave error in judgment. They think they know us, what we're capable of, how we think. But they don't understand what happens when humans are backed into a corner. What happens? We change the rules of the game." As dawn broke, the Ascendancy entered Earth's orbit. Their ships blotted out the stars, a perfect geometric array of dark shapes against the sky. The final countdown had begun. The final stand. The Ascendancy attack began at noon UTC. Precision strikes targeted major military installations, power grids, and communication centers. Earth's defensive systems responded immediately, but the alien technology was overwhelming. Satellite-based laser platforms were the first to fall, their targeting systems scrambled by Ascendancy countermeasures. Ground-based missile defenses followed, their projectiles intercepted long before reaching the alien ships. "They're more advanced than we anticipated," General Zhao reported grimly. "Our conventional defenses are ineffective." But not all the news was bad. The neural disruptor was ready, and Colonel Rivera's team was preparing for launch. The stealth craft, codenamed Trojan Horse, had been modified to mimic Ascendancy shuttle signatures. Its hull was coated with experimental metamaterials that scattered radar and lidar. Inside, the six-person team made final preparations. "Remember," Colonel Rivera addressed her team, "we need to get within 500 meters of the command ship before deploying the disruptor. Any farther, and the effect will be too dispersed." From the Chilean observatory, Dr. Rice watched the Ascendancy fleet via enhanced imaging. There's a pattern to their movements, she observed. They're rotating ships in and out of the atmosphere on a predictable schedule. This was the window they needed. When the next rotation began, Trojan Horse launched from a hidden facility in the Andes. It rose through the atmosphere, its signature masked among the Ascendancy shuttles. Approaching insertion point, reported the pilot, Lieutenant Chen. No indication they've detected us. The command ship loomed ahead, a massive structure at the center of the Ascendancy fleet. Unlike the other vessels, it was not a perfect geometric shape, but a complex arrangement of interconnected modules. That's their version of redundancy, Dr. Rice explained over the comm. If one section is compromised, the others can continue functioning independently. Trojan Horse maneuvered toward a docking port, following the pattern of other Ascendancy shuttles. As they approached, a tractor beam engaged, pulling them into a massive hangar bay. "We're in," Colonel Rivera reported, preparing to deploy ground team. The hangar was filled with Ascendancy craft and automation. No biological entities were visible. Everything was controlled by AI systems. "They're not expecting intruders," noted Sergeant Osai, the team's technical specialist. "Their security is focused outward, not inward." The team moved swiftly through the ship, following the structural analysis Dr. Reyes had derived from the alien communications. They encountered minimal resistance, mostly automated defense systems that Sergeant Osai was able to bypass. "We're approaching the central node," Colonel Rivera reported. "This is where their command functions are coordinated." On Earth, the situation was deteriorating. The Ascendancy had begun deploying ground forces, not biological soldiers but autonomous drones that moved with precise, insect-like coordination. "They're establishing collection points," General Zhao reported, "gathering humans for processing." GDI forces engaged the drones wherever possible, but they were outnumbered and outgunned. Guerrilla tactics proved most effective, hit-and-run strikes that disrupted the Ascendancy's perfect formations. Aboard the command ship, Colonel Rivera's team reached the central node. The chamber was vast, a spherical space filled with pulsing light patterns that seemed to flow between crystalline structures. "This is it," said Sergeant Osai. "Their neural network. It's beautiful." "Set the disruptor," ordered Colonel Rivera. "We have 4 minutes before the next security sweep." Osai placed the device at the center of the chamber. As he activated it, the crystalline structures began to vibrate subtly. "It's working," he whispered. "The patterns are changing." Colonel Rivera relayed the news to command. "Disruptor deployed. Initiating withdrawal." "Negative," came the response from Dr. Reyes. "The effect is too localized. You need to connect it to their main power source to amplify the signal." Rivera looked at her team. They all understood what this meant. Connecting to the main power source would trigger alerts throughout the ship. There would be no withdrawal. "Understood," she replied. "We'll get it done." They moved deeper into the ship, following the power signatures. Around them, the perfect efficiency of the Ascendancy began to falter. Lights flickered. Automated systems hesitated. "The disruptor is affecting their systems," noted Lieutenant Chen. But not enough. They'd reached the power core, a massive chamber where energy pulsed and contained plasma streams. Sergeant Osei studied the connections. "If we can integrate the disruptor here," he said, pointing to a neural interface, "it should broadcast through their entire network." Alarms began to sound as they made the connection. The ship's defense systems activated, sealing compartments and deploying countermeasures. "We're out of time," said Colonel Rivera. She activated her comm. "Dr. Reyes, we've connected the disruptor to their power core. Activation in 20 seconds. All GDI forces," Dr. Reyes broadcast globally. "Prepare for Operation Blackout. I repeat, Operation Blackout is commencing." Throughout the world, soldiers and civilians activated specialized shielding devices designed to protect human neural patterns from the disruptor's amplified effect. In the power core, Sergeant Osei made the final connection. The disruptor pulsed once, twice. then released a wave of energy that surged through the Ascendancy network. The effect was immediate and dramatic. The perfect formation of the Ascendancy fleet dissolved into chaos. Ships drifted out of position. Some collided with others. On the ground, the autonomous drones stopped in their tracks, their coordinated movements reduced to random twitching. "It's working," breathed Dr. Reyes, watching the displays. "Their neural network is collapsing." Aboard the command ship, Colonel Rivera's team fought their way toward an escape pod. The ship's systems were in disarray, but automated defenses still functioned on backup protocols. "We've got one shot at this," Rivera told her team as they reached the pod bay. "Make it count." They launched just as the command ship began to break apart, the perfect geometry of its design now a liability as systems failed and modules separated. The escape pod streaked toward Earth, pursued by fragments of the disintegrating command ship. In the Chilean observatory, technicians tracked its descent. "They're coming in too fast," someone reported. "Trajectory indicates impact in the Pacific." Dr. Reyes gripped the console. "Get recovery teams in the air. Now." Across the globe, humanity counterattacked. The Ascendancy forces, without their perfect coordination, were still dangerous but no longer invincible. GDI troops pushed them back from collection points, liberated captured humans, and disabled grounded ships. In orbit, the Ascendancy fleet began to withdraw. Their perfect formation was gone, replaced by a chaotic retreat. Some ships accelerated away from Earth. Others drifted, powerless. 72 hours after the neural disruptor was activated, the last Ascendancy ship left Earth's orbit. Humanity had won, at a terrible cost. The rebuilding began immediately. Cities lay in ruins, infrastructure was shattered, and millions had died. But the human spirit remained unbroken. From the wreckage of Ascendancy technology, scientists began to reverse engineer advancements that would propel humanity forward by centuries. The neural network principles alone promised revolutions in computing and medicine. 1 month after the invasion, a message was broadcast into space. Directed at the retreating Ascendancy fleet, it was transmitted using their own technology, ensuring they would receive and understand it. "To the Ascendancy, you came to our world believing us primitive and weak. You came to harvest our resources and our people. You came with overwhelming force and advanced technology. And you failed. Not because we were stronger or more advanced, but because you fundamentally misunderstood what humanity is. We are not a collective. We are not governed by perfect efficiency or predictable patterns. Our strength lies in our diversity, our adaptability, our capacity to face impossible odds and still find a way forward. This is our final message to you. Do not return. Next time, we will be ready. Next time, we will come looking for you." The message was signed simply, humanity. In the years that followed, Earth united in a way that had once seemed impossible. The Global Defense Initiative evolved into a governing body that preserved national identities while coordinating global efforts. The stars, once a mystery, became humanity's new frontier. And somewhere in the depths of space, the Ascendancy received humanity's message. For the first time in their long history, they experienced something new, something their perfect, predictable minds struggled to process. Fear. Dr. Reyes stood on the beach where Colonel Rivera's escape pod had crashed. The recovery teams had found 3 survivors: Rivera herself, Lieutenant Chen, and Sergeant Osei. They had become heroes overnight, their names known in every corner of the world. "What do you think they'll do?" Rivera asked, looking up at the night sky. Her left arm was in a sling, her face still bearing the scars of their desperate escape. "The Ascendancy." Dr. Reyes considered the question. "They'll adapt. They'll study what happened here. They'll try to account for our unpredictability in their calculations. And they'll fail," Rivera said with certainty. Dr. Reyes smiled. "Yes, they'll fail, because they're looking for patterns where none exist. They're seeking predictability in a species defined by its capacity to surprise." Together they watched the stars. no longer distant points of light but possible futures. Humanity had taken its first steps into a larger universe, not as conquerors or victims, but as survivors who had earned their place among the stars. The ascendancy had thought humanity weak. Their final message had proven them wrong.